morning. My name is Kedar Pagadinima, Director of Community Relations, Asha Australia Foundation, and I'll be your MC for today. Before I proceed, some housekeeping rules. COVID social distancing should be strictly followed. Sanitizers are available everywhere. No smoking, and the toilets are as you walk out straight, you have the male, and on your right, there is the female toilets. Now, before I start, I would like to acknowledge the Walu Medigal people of the Darug Nation and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to welcome all of you, the dignitaries, on behalf of Senior Rights and Asha Australia Foundation, the dignitaries, members of Senior Rights, members of Asha, and all other family and friends. Welcome. Now, without taking too much of time, I'd like to explain a bit about our gathering today. We have gathered here today to celebrate the development of the first two in a set of 5 videos in 3 different languages, Hindi, Mandarin, and Arabic, about the financial vulnerabilities of elder people when trying to help their family members. These videos have been a collaboration between Senior Rights and Asha Australia Foundation to ensure that they are culturally appropriate and involve the relevant community, in this case, our Indian community. The main aim is to make our seniors aware and able to protect their own rights first. So now we will start with the traditional candlelight ceremony. And I'd like to call upon Bijinder and our special guest, Mark Taylor. The Honorable Natalie Ward. Jody McKay. Russell Westercott. Diana Bernard, Dr. Praful Walanju, so we're going to light the lamp as our tradition. Give them a big hand. Thank you very much. We will proceed now. Can I request Mark Taylor, please, to come and address today's function? Mark Taylor is the state member for Seven Hills, and he's representing the Honorable Jeff Lee, Minister for Skills, Tertiary Education, Sport, Multiculturalism, Seniors, and Veterans. Mark, could you please make him welcome? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Isn't it excellent to be out and about at a function? There hasn't been too many in recent months, and to be in an event, especially one as important as this, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. We've recognised quite a few dignitaries as we started, but can I pay particular recognition of Natalie Ward, a member of the Upper House of New South Wales, but also the Parliamentary Secretary for Justice, and representing the Attorney General here today. So Natalie has a very important role in that function, and obviously today's event and today's program is very important to her and the New South Wales Government. So welcome, Natalie. Can I also welcome Jodie Mackay, member of the Leader of the Opposition. And I think Jodie's attendance here today just goes to show that the issues that are here today go right across the political spectrum, and certainly issues involving seniors and legal issues are one which every Member of Parliament holds very dear to their heart. So it's an absolute honour to have Jodie here as well today. So welcome, Jodie. Besides being the local Member of Parliament for Seven Hills, I'm also the Parliamentary Secretary for Police in New South Wales, and I come from a policing background. So your topic today and the program that brings us here, being seniors or elder abuse or issues involving financial matters around senior people, is dear to my heart. The issue of elder abuse, and particularly financial abuse of elders, is something which seems to have grown in prominence over the years, and can I assure you that there's certainly plenty of global research and Australian research concerning the issue, but also it's an issue which is taken up very strongly by the New South Wales Police. So to find out that both the Foundation and the service and also Multicultural New South Wales and all those involved have come together to produce the videos that you'll be seeing later today is a fantastic initiative, and I congratulate you on taking that initiative, and it's a credit to all of those who are involved. Can I say the issues of isolation, being an elder in our community, whether you're living by yourself or living within a care establishment, we all know that's been compounded by the COVID situation we're in. But also, so has financial pressure on families. And unfortunately, sometimes the financial pressure on those families causes other family members to do the wrong thing by the elders in their own family group. So I think not only is the overall issue increasing, but COVID has compounded the issue. So the timeliness of your program and the timeliness of the video just could not be more important than what it is now. So I suppose in summary, I'd just like to say congratulations. Well done to coming together, but well done through making sure that all those in need have accessible information and accessibility to support that they require. Congratulations on that initiative, and I suppose I could officially launch the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Can you just hold on, Mark, just for a second? Dr. Walanju, can you please come and honour Mark Taylor, please? This is one of our traditions where we honour the special guests. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I now request Mr. Russell Westercott, CEO of Senior Rights, to come and say a few words. Russell?
Thank you so much, Kadal. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands in which we meet here at West Ryde, the Wurundjeri tribe of the Durrung Nation, and excuse me if I mispronounce that. But also welcome to other VIP guests who are with us today, the Honourable Mark Taylor MP, Member for Seven Hills and Parliamentary Secretary for Police and Justice, Honourable Natalie Ward, Joseph Laposta from CEO New South Wales. I'm not sure if Joseph made it today, but I know that he was intending to. Bajinder Degol from the Director of Usher Foundation, and also Jodie Mackay, Leader of the Opposition. I'd also like to commence by thanking staff at Seniors' Rights Service, in particular Diana Bernard, Jane Schneider, Nalika Padmasena and Melissa Chaplin, all of whom worked hard on getting the video and the resource together, and also worked hard on the event today. And as people would be aware, we're live streaming the event, and after the event we're actually going to have an online chat forum for people around financial abuse issues. So Melissa in particular and Nalika, who are some lawyers at Seniors' Rights Service, will be helping out with some of that post-event activity that will be taking place. In Australia, unfortunately, I'm just actually going to adjust my mask. Sorry, excuse me. It's one of the delights of being actually asked to speak. You can take your mask off for 5 or 10 minutes. In Australia, we actually don't have a prevalence study to understand the prevalence of elder abuse across the country. It's one of the things that Seniors' Rights Service has been lobbying for some time. We've got some traction happening at the Commonwealth level with the Attorney General's Department, and we're hoping that a prevalence study will roll out in the coming year or so. But without a prevalence study, most social researchers who work in the area of elder abuse estimate that around 10% of older Australians experience elder abuse. So in New South Wales, with a population of 1.5 million older people, that translates to 150,000 people who are victims of elder abuse. And then if you lay across that 25 to 30% of older people in New South Wales are from culturally diverse backgrounds and from non-English speaking communities, then you start to see the scale of the problem no matter which way you slice and dice that information. 150,000 people who are victims of elder abuse, but organisations like Seniors' Rights Service, and I know that there's a lot of other community-based organisations that work in the elder abuse space, obviously getting to 150,000 people is near impossible. So one of the things that Seniors' Rights Service tries to do is awareness raising and hopefully education that actually minimises the number of elder abuse, and to provide preventative education to stop it from occurring. So the videos that we've been working on, and in this case the Hindi video with Asha, means that we can actually get a message out to particular communities, and having a resource like a video, having engagement with the community like we have today, and particularly our ongoing engagement and collaboration with Asha, means that this sort of tool can get into the hands of dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people from a particular community, and hopefully raise the issue of elder abuse, raise the issue of financial abuse, allow people to know of organisations like Seniors' Rights Service that do legal services for people who might be victims of abuse or trying to prevent abuse from happening. We provide about 3,000 legal services a year, and then we also provide aged care advocacy services. And I know the video today is focusing on financial abuse, but there are sometimes issues that cross over with aged care advocacy, and we just want to let the Hindi community know that that's a service that Seniors' Rights Service also provides. And in terms of our aged care advocacy service, we usually deliver about 4,500 aged care advocacy services across the state every year. But the year just gone, those numbers went up to about 7,000 because of COVID-19. So since the beginning of the epidemic back in March, since the beginning of the epidemic in March, Seniors' Rights Service has actually taken 1,800 COVID-19 specific calls. A lot of those calls are to do with people who are in aged care facilities, but not exclusively. They are also people trying to understand what their rights are on a legal basis. So 1,800 calls, that has increased the amount of work and the amount of inquiries that we're answering dramatically. And again, because of the massive scale of that issue alone, that's why we need community engagement through these useful tools that we're developing and releasing here today. And as was pointed out earlier, there will be other videos for other communities touching on a range of other issues, particularly for the Arabic-speaking community and the Mandarin-speaking community. And they'll be coming out in the months ahead. But Seniors' Rights Service, a big part of our business is to travel the state of New South Wales. Diana does a fantastic job of organising events. Some events are like this, although they're not generally socially distanced if we're not in the world environment of COVID-19. But we do about 1,000 events across New South Wales every year, whether they be in aged care facilities, in leagues clubs like this, in retirement villages, or bowling clubs or other town hall style events. So those 1,000 events, we get about 34,000 people that attend those events. And of course, COVID has put the brakes on that. We can't do face-to-face events. This is our first socially distanced event, by the way, that we've had since March. But again, it just underscores the need for us to have a toolbox of tools that can get the message out there to various communities across New South Wales. And so it's extremely important for Seniors' Rights Service to be able to collaborate with communities such as, community groups such as ASHA, so that in our toolbox we have videos that speak to this particular community, we have videos that speak to other communities, and we have other resources as well. So parallel to this particular campaign with this resource is a whole bunch of radio ads that we're playing on both commercial and community radio across New South Wales, and some of those actually in Hindi. So there's parallel material going on and being released as we release this particular video today. So I wanted to thank Department of Communities and Justice for the funding of this particular video. Like I said, there's other videos coming out in the next month or so. Some of those have been funded by Multicultural New South Wales, and I'd like to thank Multicultural New South Wales for the funding of those materials. So again, it's just really important for Seniors' Rights Service to be able to have all these different tools, to be able to use them to get the message out to community and to be as creative as possible, particularly in an environment where we can't be holding face-to-face events across New South Wales like we normally would. So thank you very much. Great to have everybody here today, albeit all socially distanced, and probably not as many people here that we might normally get to an event, but it's fantastic. And again, it's fantastic to collaborate with ASHA, and I thank everybody for working with Seniors' Rights Service. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
Russell, can you just hold back? Yeah. Thank you, Russell. Thank you for the wonderful speech. Can I call upon Dr. Sundar to come and honor Russell, please? Thank I'd like to acknowledge Joseph Laposta. Sorry, Joseph, you went to the venue. Oh, sorry. Apologize. Thank you for coming. Joseph Laposta, CEO of Multicultural New South Wales. Now, thank you. I'd now like to call upon Bijinder Dugal, the lady behind Asha Australia Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please make her welcome. Bijinder Dugal.
Wow, what a great honor, and really, really honored and humbled. Big namaste and a warm welcome to everyone, to Mark Taylor, Jody, Russell, Joseph, and Natalie Ward, and some of our other important people. Everybody is important, and above all, each and every one of you. It's a great day. It may be a small event. For us, it's great. This dream started 4 years back when we had first time video done with Alzheimer's Australia, it's now Dementia Australia. And on the launch of that, I said, one day we'll have videos in a drama form in elder abuse. And here we are, today celebrating the big event. Now, and I like to acknowledge the land we are standing on, the elders of the past and present, and the elders from the overseas and across the seas. Now, in our culture, we call our parents gods. But unfortunately, we end up just making them the little idols who have no soul, and we forget. We don't need to put a candle in front of them. We are human beings. We may have wrinkles, we may be old, but we have a heart that beats every day, and it looks for respect, it looks for love, it looks for kindness, and it looks for especially kindness from our children. Now, coming from the land where in Ramayana, Ram went for 14 years exile just to honor his father's one word, a wish that you go away. And he did that. And here we are standing, and it hurts me when a lady in the park rings me and tells me, crying, we have sold everything. We came to our son and daughter-in-law, and my 7-year-old grandchild said, Grandma, go home. She said, where do I go home? What do I answer her? When I hear of a grandma who's not able to talk to her grandchildren, and they ring me, or ring one of our directors, which I'm talking on behalf of Dr. Vlanju and Dr. Sundar and whole of Asha team, what should I tell her? I feel guilty when another lady is crying and saying that my daughter will not let me see my newborn grandchild unless I let her give the money. What should I tell them? Where should we go? We find in our community, which is common in a lot of communities. So we talk big and we say that, but yes, elder abuse is everybody's business. It's all our business. Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. Let's find a solution so that none of our seniors should be having ulcers or sitting in a park and crying. None of the grandparents should be really waiting to listen to the voice of their grandchildren. In our community and many communities, we have a face, unfortunately a big face. We are big, we are great. But the fact is that it's like the iceberg. The deeper we go under, it gets darker, darker and darker. And that's where we have to reach. And that's what I'm requesting, either Multicultural with Joseph, who've been supporting us, and Mark Taylor, Senior Rights, come along. We are there as volunteers. We are not asking you to pay us. Come along to reach to the community, whether it's the temples, whether it's the events, anywhere. Let's reach to those people who have made Australia home. And those people we don't want any senior ever to feel, what should I do? People feel shame. Why do they feel shame? If I talk about my son, I'll be thinking, people will think, fault is with her. She doesn't know how to bring up children, or she may be too dominating, or he may be too dominating. Same way, what will my community say? These fears are there, and they scare the hell out of us. But one message I like to say very clearly from Asha, from our directors, from our team, I can say and come along the community, I will not and we will not let anybody abuse us, whether it's community, our children, our friends, our society. We have to stand tall and have the dignity and courage to say, hang on, I'm a human being and I need to be treated like that. So these two videos are very special, and I know that the first one is filmed at my home, and I thank to Diana, Jane, and Tiger, and all the crew, and Russell, who even allowed his team to come. You came to not all our halls, but you came to our hearts. It was touch. It was a pleasure to have you. It was a pleasure to be working with you. And the second one is about a flat, which you'll see. And these are not the fairy tales. They may be in a drama form, but these are the real stories. Just coming back to Asha Australia Foundation, even in the COVID, yes, we've been more busy than otherwise. We normally have 5 groups, and we are planning to have another one very close to Joseph's office in Parramatta or Harris Park as soon as the COVID is finished. But during this time, thank you to team and our directors and every volunteer. We are daily touching basing 200 people with Bollywood music. Starts at 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the night. Many of people are sitting here who record their music either in audio or video, and people are getting engaged. They are enjoying it. We have Zoom sessions weekly for yoga and sing along, and every fortnight we have the health talks. These are the specialists, and last month our 3 talks on the Facebook has reached to 11K people. So that shows we are reaching to so many people. So please come along. These videos are great, but we need to walk along. It's the beginning, and it's not impossible. It may be hard, but not impossible at all. So thank you. So
Please give her a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Now, to proceed with the proceedings now, I'd like to call upon the Honourable Natalie Ward, MLC, a member of Legislative Council, and member of Stratfield, Jody Mackay, and leader of the opposition to come on the stage, and Joseph Laposta, Multicultural CEO of to please come on the stage. We'd like to honour you as well. Dr. Valanju, Dr. Sundar, and Bijinder, please come. Please come. Yeah. You had to be careful with the stairs, Natalie and Joseph. And Diana, please come to the stage, please. Thanks.
Standing over at Station Street.
Oh dear.
Thank goodness Bajinder sent me the right location.
Thank you.
Without Bajinder.
thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana, who's done all the work. And this really is nice. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be. Jody, so I'll have to say that.
The leader of the opposition had to leave, so yeah, just here this way, please. Yeah, quick. No, John's here from TWT. John, welcome. Yeah, Dr. Sundar. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shortest.
Put the flowers down.
Mark and
Yeah, Mark, please. Mark, you have. Russell,
Beautiful thing about
Russell,
Mark is
just 2 minutes.
you can see a shot
Mark, the tower
G'day, Russell.
Russell, can you get over there, just behind the mic there, that's, give you a bit of spacing and away from our place.
Okay, I'll be there. Yeah.
That's right, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Don't breathe. Just don't breathe. Don't do anything, just smile. One, and do two, and you feel a bit cheese. And again, and do two, and you feel a bit tigers. That's good tomorrow night. 1, 2, 3, one more. 1, 2, 3, tigers. Beautiful. One more, please. Oh, one more, please. Yeah. Sorry. With the camera. One more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. Diana, please come to the stage. I'd now like to call upon Diana Bernard, the lady behind organizing this for senior rights. Can you please make her welcome, ladies and gentlemen? Diana Bernard. Thank you.
Thank you, Kedar. I just quickly say a couple of words before we actually watch the videos, which is what we're going to do now. Following the videos, we're going to have a discussion with our lawyers. Then we're going to have a discussion with a couple of the actors from the videos. And then we're going to open to questions from the physical audience and for the audience that's live streaming. So I'd just like to thank Asha for all the collaboration and hard work, for looking at the scripts, providing actors from the community, and checking that our videos are all culturally correct. I'd also like to thank our filming team, Tiger and Juliet. Can you just wave a hand, please? And our communications team, May, who's been taking photos, and Jane, who's over there. Thank you very much. And we'll now watch the videos, and towards the end of video 1, if Melissa and Nalika can come on stage then. Thank you.
वाओ, इतना बड़ा घर। इसी में तो तुम्हें पैसे की इतनी दिक्कत पड़ती है बेटा।
अरे माँ चुप भी हो जाओ, रानी नाराज हो जाती है।
नमस्ते मामा। खुश रहो बेटा।
हाँ हाँ, एक मिनट नाला मासी का।
नमस्ते दी, आपका स्वागत है। एक बार आप यहाँ सेटल हो जाए तो इंडियन सोशल ग्रुप में जरूर आना पड़ेगा आपको।
लेकिन मैं गाड़ी नहीं चलाती नहला।
तो क्या हुआ दी? आप सुरेश से कहिए, वो लेके आएगा आपको। See you soon. Bye.
काश आज छुट्टी होती। अब तो जाना पड़ेगा।
क्या बच्चों को 3 बजे स्कूल से ला पाएंगे?
हाँ बेशक, मुझे बच्चों के साथ वक्त गुजारना अच्छा लगता है।
ओह बढ़िया, फिर तो गुरांश, अनक, ज्वाला, चलो बच्चों जल्दी से कार में बैठ जाओ।
बहना, तुम कब आ रही हो सोशल ग्रुप में?
अरे मैं तो बहुत बिजी थी और मुझे इतना वक्त चला जाता है बच्चों की देखभाल करने के लिए।
आप बहुत ज़्यादा काम कर रहे हैं। हमेशा घर की सफाई, खरीदारी, बच्चों की देखरेख। आपको थोड़ी मौज मस्ती भी करनी चाहिए।
ये तो फुल क्रीम मिल्क है, मैं फुल क्रीम मिल्क नहीं पीती।
देखो, मैं लेबल नहीं पढ़ती हूँ। यदि दूध सफ़ेद होता है तो मैं दूध खरीद लेती हूँ।
लेकिन मैंने तो लिस्ट में लो फैट मिल्क लिखा था ना।
यदि तुम्हें वजन लूज करना है तो इसके सिवा कुछ और करना पड़ेगा।
मुझसे मेरे ही घर में आपकी इस तरह से बात करने की हिम्मत भी कैसे हुई?
माँ, आपने रानी को क्या दिया?
अरे बेटा, वो थोड़ी देर में ठीक हो जाएगी। सुरेश बेटा, मुझे इंडियन सोशल ग्रुप में जाना है।
वो बहुत दूर है।
मैं क्या करूं? इंडिया में थी तो मेरे अपने सोशल ग्रुप थे। हम कार्ड्स खेलते थे, मैं मंदिर जाया करती थी, किटी पार्टी होती थी, सब कुछ करते थे।
तो ठीक है, आपको क्या चाहती क्या है? वापस जाना चाहती हैं? तो ठीक है, मैं इंतजाम कर देता हूँ आपके लिए। लेकिन एक चीज ध्यान में रखना, बच्चों को नहीं देख पाएंगी आप।
मैं इसके बारे में किससे बात करूं? कौन मेरी मदद करेगा?
Purpose of these videos is so that we can work with communities around talking about the issues and talking about some solutions. So I'd just like to introduce two of our lawyers at Seniors' Rights, Melissa Chaplin and Nalika Padmasena, and we're just going to talk about some questions from video on before we move on to the second video. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. So Nalika, in the video, Sarita had a lot of work in her extended family, providing childcare and cleaning and shopping. She was also becoming increasingly isolated as she doesn't drive and has no spare time or knowledge about how to change things. Can you talk a little bit to the audience about isolation and how it's a form of elder abuse, and how people lose hope and the importance of staying connected to local language or social groups for support.
Thank you. Yes, there are a number of issues in this scenario, and this scenario is not foreign to anybody. Like it's common to quite a lot of people living here. So the isolation is a form of abuse because it prevents someone from a participation and the access. So first of all, look at the UN principles of older people that talks about independence, participation, care and dignity. So when you look at that, so there is an expectation of fair treatment in there. And also I would like to take you to the definition of elder abuse from Australian Network of Prevention of Elder Abuse, and also the World Health Organization definition. So when you look at those, it talks about intentional act or failure to act within a relationship that where people actually have an implication of trust, and then that failure to act then causes a harm to a person. So elder abuse has different forms. The psychological abuse, social abuse, and the neglect is some of the topics that talked about in this video. So,
and how do you think they might have helped her? Would it have helped if they let her go out and meet some people?
yes, so that's why I said, like, you know, when you look at the principles and the underlying facts, it's an expectation of fair treatment. So, you know, the organizations like Seniors' Rights and also the community organizations, there are a number of other services available to access. If you are entitled to receive care packages, the community transport service is available, but also the community, like Asha and India Club. Like, no, there are a number of organizations. And also the community organizations that can provide that link to these the community members who are isolated in the community.
Thanks, Nalika. That's really important that they talk to their colleagues and find out information about who can help. I might ask you to go back down, sorry. And I'm just going to invite Ravi, one of the actors, up onto the stage for a minute. Hi, Ravi.
Thanks, Diana.
So, Ravi, what made you want to work with Seniors' Rights on this video? And did the issue of isolation, was that familiar to you in community?
It's, I had heard anecdotally stories which were very scary, very confronting. But what crystallized my thoughts was when we were doing a submission for the New South Wales Parliament on elder abuse, and I worked with Bajinder. And that was the turning point for me, where I've heard these stories, and now we are there articulating this verbatim for the lawmakers. And very confronting stories, and that was the time I felt that if I could be part of any initiative which would help change this scenario for our elders, I would be more than happy to participate and take it from there. So that's exactly what my motivation was. And it is confronting at many levels. The word which summarizes all that is abandonment. Abandonment of our culture, our values, and our elders, after bringing them over across the land to a foreign land, and then giving them this kind of treatment, it is horrendous, to be quite So my motivation was to look at how can I reach these people who are isolated, who could not be reached directly for whatever reason. Shame was one thing which was mentioned. It was the space, Vijender mentioned that. So here was an alternative channel which would reach them in their bedroom. And they could watch the video by themselves, be it referred to them through the Asha participation or whatever it might be. So that was my motivation to get involved in this project.
Thank you very much, Ravi. Yeah, I think shame often plays a big role. This is my child. Why are they doing this to me? And so people are hesitant to come forward. I think that's an important thing to mention. Thank you, Ravi. We might look at the next video now. I'm just going to...
हेलो मम्मी, सेटिंग कैसे चल रही है?
मुझे तुम्हारे पिता की बहुत याद आती है और तुम्हारे अपने घर की भी।
लेकिन मम्मी, बेचने का फैसला ठीक ही किया और उन पैसों से ये नैनी फ्लैट बनाया, वो भी इस फैसला ठीक ही था। बहुत ज्यादा पैसे हैं मम्मी, इस कुछ लिखा पढ़ी कर लेनी चाहिए।
नहीं नहीं, हट, हम परिवार के लोग हैं, मुझे तुम पर भरोसा है।
अब परिवार की बात की है तो बताऊं कि अरुण भी हमारे पास आकर के रहे।
क्या ये अच्छा होगा?
3, 2, 1.
यहाँ क्या कर रहे हो?
आपको जो किराए का पैसा देना है वो ढूंढ रहा हूं मैं।
क्या? कौन सा पैसा? ये फ्लैट बनाने के लिए मैंने पैसे दिए हैं, ये मेरा घर है।
किराए का पैसा देना है वो ढूंढ रहा हूं मैं।
और घर में भी काम करो।
किराए के पैसे देने हैं।
कितनी और जॉब तुमसे करवाओगे?
दीना बेटी, सब ठीक तो है ना?
अरुण परेशान है मम्मी, कल उनकी नौकरी चली गई। माँ, मैं आपकी बेहतरी के लिए ही सोच रही हूँ। मेरा मतलब है कि कल अगर आप यहाँ गिरवी गई और हम घर पर ना हुए तो?
तुम चाहती हो मैं नर्सिंग होम में जाके रहूं?
आप बेहतर केयर मिलेगी वहाँ पर, और फिर इस मकान को हम किराए पे चढ़ा सकते हैं और फिर ये पैसा हमें मदद कर सकता है।
ये अरुण अच्छा लड़का नहीं है, उसका बुरा असर तुम पर दिख रहा है।
अब बस ये मेरा फैसला है और मैं तय करूंगी कि कौन रहेगा यहाँ, बस।
ये सेंट्रल लिंक है।
क्या आपने अपने घर की बिक्री के मिले पैसे अपनी बेटी को दिए हैं?
हाँ, उसने सारी व्यवस्था की है। उसने फ्लैट बनवाया और मुझे कहा कि ये जीवन भर के लिए आपका अपना घर होगा।
क्या आपके पास लिखित में ऐसा कुछ है?
नहीं, नहीं, मैंने ऐसे कुछ नहीं किया।
सेंट्रलिंक इसे एक गिफ्ट के रूप में देखता है, जिसका अर्थ है कि आप 5 साल तक पेंशन के योग्य नहीं हैं।
5 साल? मेरे पास तो पैसे नहीं है। मेरे पास रहने के लिए जगह भी नहीं है। मेरी मदद कौन कर सकता है? क्या मुझे मेरे पैसे वापस मिल सकते हैं?
So, Melissa, Varsha was saying who could help her. I guess Seniors' Rights could help her and Centrelink could help her. But what was the first mistake she made? Was it to do with not getting anything in writing?
Yeah, so the first mistake she made was not getting anything in writing. She can enter a family agreement and look at all different aspects of the living arrangement with her daughter, such as how much she's going to pay to live there, if there's going to be any amounts deducted for care provided by her daughter, under what conditions would the agreement come to an end and she would get her money back. So if her daughter met somebody else and wanted her to move out, or if her daughter lost her job, or if she wanted to move out, or if she needed aged care. And also who pays for bills. Is there to be payment for utilities, rates, insurances? And most importantly, the agreement can say that she have a registered interest on the legal title, so that if her daughter did try to sell the property, she could stop that. The daughter would need her consent. So there's a lot of preventative measures she could have put in place to protect her interest in the property.
And what should she know about Centrelink and gifting rules?
Okay, so there are ramifications. If a parent pays money to a child, that's presumed to be a gift. And in relation to any gift, Centrelink says that affects your pension and your pension can be reduced. But if she can prove to Centrelink that the payment was made in order for her to live in the house for life, there are special rules called granny flat arrangements, and what that means is if she can ascertain to Centrelink she's paid a reasonable amount for that interest, it won't affect her pension. So she needs to speak to a financial information service officer up front at Centrelink to tell them how much she's going to pay, and then they can advise her whether that's appropriate.
Thanks very much, Melissa. So before we open up to the audience questions, I'd just like to invite Shobha, another one of our actors, up onto the stage, please.
Hello, Dan.
Hi, Shobha. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
I wonder if you can tell us a bit about how you found working on the videos.
It was a wonderful experience. I must say it was very well collaborated and well presented. Hats off to the lovely crew, Jane and Tiger. They made it so easy for us. And collaboration is the way to go. With two minds thinking for one cause. And Vijinder Di also had set up everything so well as you were there that day, during the filming and all that. It was just wonderful. And it was good to be a star even for just an hour.
Thank you for that. And can you tell us a little bit about those sorts of issues in the community and what you think about them? Are granny flats or arrangements similar to that common? Parents giving their children money?
Absolutely, it's very common. because they trust their kids. And it's also the emotional ties with their kids that makes them do things without a written agreement. And very prevalent issue, and great that this film is being made. So it increases awareness that no matter who they are, you have to have it written down. And also, take the advice of Centrelink. We have a beautiful, organization that is there for us. So if they have any problems, sort things out with them, go to them, approach them before you do anything, and don't just rely on your kids, no matter what.
Thank you very much, Shobha. It was lovely having you as part of the crew.
Pleasure was entirely mine, Diana. Thanks, Senior Rights and Asha, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Shobha. Can I invite Nalika back onto the stage?
Thank you.
Just while we're getting organised, I'd like you to know that we also have a video all about the legal aspects of granny flats, and that is on our website, seniorsrightsservice.org.au, and there's a yellow spot on the front page that says Education Toolbox. And if you go to webinars and videos, it's actually in English with Hindi subtitles, so we thought that might also be another useful thing for you. Thank you. So Jane is now going to send me questions via my mobile, so I'll just be looking down. First question, how can I consider other children when making granny flat arrangements? Do you want to answer that one, Melissa?
It's important when entering into a granny flat arrangement and giving a large contribution to your child for a right to live in the property, that you consider your other children and what would happen on your passing with your inheritance. So different ways that you can look at this is that you could have in a family agreement that the funds be paid back to your estate and distributed to your children, or you could have in your will an acknowledgement that you've paid that contribution to your child's property, and that share is to come out of their share of your estate. But whatever you decide to do, you should reconsider your will whenever entering into a family agreement.
Okay, I have a tricky question. Both of you might like to look at that. And I will come to questions in the audience, so if anyone has any, please put their hand up after this and I'll come to you. So, when you come to stay with your son, this treatment is common, the question says. But if they come to stay with parents, then it's a different matter. What should be considered in this situation?
Okay, I guess
Melissa?
one way I'd look at that is that if you had the children move in with you, from a property point of view, you would be more secure because your name would be on the legal title. So if you wanted that arrangement to come to an end, if there were disagreements with your children, you could ask them to leave and then your interests would be protected.
Thanks, Melissa. Yes, certainly. Would you like to use a microphone? Could I just ask chatting to be outside because we are live streaming, so it makes it difficult.
I'm Dr. Nima Taluja. I am Dr. Nirmal Taluja. I actually been working in a general practice for the last 43 years here in Australia. Thank God I'm comfortable. Thank God I've seen enough. And thank God my children are great. But the children are great to an extent when you keep your own confidence in your hand, when you have all in your hands. My question is, by doing the video, and the seniors are seeing these videos, is not going to sort out this problem. Everybody knows senior rights. Everybody knows that there is an Australian relation company and everything. But that's not the solution. The solution lies in the hand of our own management, and not to be just to be aware, but sort out the things they have. Like, they have a problem in going here and there. Doesn't matter how my children are supported. I don't have a services that they can take me from here to there if I need a medical service for myself. We don't have any encouragement for seniors to be looked after by some subsidies. That we should have either services which can provide us transport services, or the services which can give them a care in the house, or those kinds of subsidies to the children if they're looking after the seniors.
Yeah, I'll just answer that question. I just might repeat it a bit because it's probably was difficult to hear. This lady is a general practitioner in the community and says that just having the videos is not the only solution, but also we need to have other services for the seniors, including things like transport. So Seniors' Rights Service has an advocacy service, and My Aged Care does provide things for people living at home with transport and getting to social groups. We are also a phone service in the first instance, so someone can ring with an interpreter, and our advocates can talk you through some of those things. I can't go into it in great detail here, but those services are available. But you're right, the video is not the only solution. We made the videos to help talk about some of those issues in community, and we're trying to do some education as well of family members who don't always mean badly. Sometimes children get their parents to hand over things not in writing without bad intentions, not realising the older person can be vulnerable. So would you two like to add anything? Sorry, I just need the microphone.
I think this is a first step to starting the conversation within the family, and also it might not be in your family, but if you see something, so this is an indication of these, things can happen, and also where to start getting the service and support. So so this is basically like the raising awareness. It's important for people to know and identify issues and then seek support. So what is the best response? So the ASHA and your community groups, it needs to understand, what's happening and start the conversation with the person, and then reach out to the relevant organisation.
Thanks, Nalika. I'll take another question online and then I'll come back to the audience. Should you get a family agreement, this is probably for you, Melissa, in writing for all financial situations, not just granny flats?
Okay, so in relation to granny flats, it's termed a family agreement because it relates to expectations in living in property together. But you should also get agreements in writing in relation to any financial arrangements with your children, including if you loan them money. You want the agreement in writing signed by both parties so that if your child doesn't repay the funds, you can enforce that agreement in court within 6 years of the date the funds were owing. But it's important in no matter what financial arrangement you enter into with your children, you do record it in writing and you see your own lawyer, because At law, where it's not in writing, there's a thing called no intention to enter legal relations because it's between family. So you could have difficulties enforcing it. And then you're also relying on your word against that of your child if they start to deny that there was ever an undertaking to pay you back. So always get things in writing.
And we do often take cases to court, but our solicitors find it much more difficult if it's this far along. It's much better to have something in writing in the beginning. Do we have another question from the audience? No? Yes? Did I hear? Yes? Shoba? Yeah.
What is the way out for these ladies now? What next? Because
For
that
which
question
ones?
does trouble.
The ones in the film?
In both, yes.
Yeah. Would you two like to answer that, and then I'll add something?
Well, in relation to the lady with the granny flat arrangement, she's in a difficult position because there's nothing in writing. She'd have to see a solicitor and talk to the solicitor about bringing a claim in equity. And she'd have to give detailed statements as to what the agreement was verbally between her and her daughter at the time that she moved in. And she'd have to have records of all her contributions to the property. And then the solicitor would have to help her lodge a claim in the Supreme Court to try to get her money back. And that can be long litigation and quite stressful for the older person. So it's far better to have a family agreement in place in advance, because then it's much easier to enforce, and the agreement would give you an interest on the title to protect your right to recover your money.
And I guess that's part of the rationale behind the videos, is to get people thinking about, because all people like to help their families, but before you help your family, protect yourself and get something in writing. In relation to the first scenario, and then I'll pass to Nalika, obviously that woman needs to be connected to social groups. That's where Usher can be really helpful, because you have social groups in all different locations. So by coming to a social group, she'll have peers and she'll be able to find out things from Usher and from the other people that she mixes with. And being not isolated, she'll feel stronger in being able to say something for herself. So I guess Usher as an organisation is really important to reach out to those newer people, newer migrants who've come, to be able to connect them. Do you want to add something, Nalika?
Yeah, and also, it's a matter that where the mother who is unable to express her concerns because it's against the children. But there is an organisation now, Relationship Australia has a mediation service for older people to resolve that matter between, parents and the children, or the, whoever it's the parties are. So the Seniors' Rights Service can be the conduit in assisting in that, because we do have a legal team and the social worker who might be able to talk to the older person, and then connect the other, link to the other services that can be assist to resolve that issue.
Thanks, Nalika. The next question I'm going to answer first and then pass to you two. Is financial abuse more common in CALD communities? I don't know any statistics on that. Financial abuse is the second most common form of elder abuse. So there's psychological, there's neglect, there's sexual, there's physical. Psychological's the most prominent, and financial is the second most prominent. Do we see a lot of CALD cases with this issue? Melissa, what would you say?
On our advice line, we do see a lot of CALD cases. We talk to a lot of clients with an interpreter.
Sorry, I just should say that means culturally and linguistically diverse.
Yes, sorry. Culturally and linguistically diverse clients, and we speak to them with an interpreter to inform them of their rights. And we do see a lot of financial abuse from across the board in relation to those issues. Yep.
Thank you. Any more questions from the physical audience? You've got one. Sorry, I can't see Vijender. The light's very strong.
And thank you, Diana and Nelika and Melissa. It's great, wonderful. My question is, and my concern, you can say, is that it's wonderful we made those videos. Where do we go from here? As for senior rights, is our collaboration is just connecting, but that's not enough. We know there are problems. And is there any plan to continue so that, you people have funding, we don't. We want to do it, we have a passion to do it, and we know our community needs it. Where do we go from there? If one of our people, like in reality, they stand up with our advice and confront their children, and they are thrown out of the home, will there be place for that? And so there are two questions I'm asking. One is that, where do they stand? And second is that, I feel we made the videos, this is just the beginning, as I said before. We need to reach out, we need to do more education. So we will feel that, do you think any plan in future so that we can really continue the work we have started?
So I might answer that question first. So in the future, I think we work together with those social groups, continuing to discuss and inform. That's part of our normal education process. We don't charge for that. Obviously, in the time of COVID, physical distancing makes it a little more difficult, but we can still do that. In the second part of your question, we do have a social worker that works with the lawyers around financial abuse, which makes it a lot easier to look at some of the complex issues that surround those family situations. And we do have, as I mentioned earlier, an advocacy service that can look at the home care type aspects of those issues. And the lawyers are on the phone as well, but Melissa and Nalika might like to add something.
We do go out and see clients in special circumstances if they're particularly vulnerable. For example, they mightn't feel comfortable talking at home, but they've got a service provider they can get to, and we can go and see them where they're comfortable and explain their rights to them. So while we're primarily on the phone, we do make exceptions in special circumstances where the need arises.
Is that our community, and we know that people do not like to talk about their personal things to somebody they don't know. It's very important. So I think it's great what you guys are doing is a wonderful job. But we know our people. They are hesitant to even the service providers and that to tell these are very, very sensitive issues. There are cultural issues, there are personal issues. So we know the things are there, but then it's great we can connect, but are they going to be talking? So that's why I asked that question together, that the collaboration of that, which we can plan strategies that we can reach together so that from known to the unknown, the people they know, they trust, so that we can bring them out.
I think we work together. That's why we work with the cultural groups, because you do know the people, but we have some of the professional assistance available. So I think my comment would be to work together.
Yeah. We often work with an older person who has a support person that they've chosen, and we conference the call so that they're with someone that they already trust and feel more confident talking to a new person. And we've also got our social worker as well. So we find that works really well in helping clients take their time to express the concerns that they've got and having those issues addressed.
Yeah,
Nalika?
the shame and stigma is a huge issue within the community. It's not a it's across the board, and of course, the community is the main driver in connecting to the community member who is going through that. So definitely the community needs to be working in collaboration with the organizations like us, and definitely, like Diana already mentioned, that we have a service in terms of going to the communities, whether it is small groups or organizations like ASHA, other organizations. There are a number of other organizations working within this community groups. So it is the link, like we are making the link now. So then talking about it, like we know that the other issues, like the various other violence against women issues, everything, like we need to talk about it. Like people need to hear it. People need to see the examples, so that then the conversation starts, and then people do link to the what's happening around them.
Thanks, Nalika. And actually, we have two very good examples of that recently. We're doing some videos and work with the Chinese, and Melissa's worked with a couple of cases that came up, these sorts of issues, through our filming. They brought them to us, and a Chinese support person from that organisation sat with the older person, and they tried to resolve some of the issues with Melissa. I've been given the cutthroat from Kedar, so we're now doing some Bollywood dancing, so we will, but the three of us will be on the chat forum, which will be on your website, to continue discussing some of the legal issues once the dancing is over, so at 1 o'clock. And those in the audience will be having lunch while we're doing that. So we'll move on. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that officially concludes the main event. We've got a 10-15 minutes entertainment, Bollywood entertainment. So I'd like to hand over this mic to Bijinder.
We won't take very
and
long.
If she can say a few words to conclude this event. Thank you. Bijinder?
Dr. Sundar. I've got our three directors and plus whole of the team. Thank you to Senior Rights, Diana, Jane, and Russell, and the whole Melissa and Nalika for this wonderful information. We hope and we will continue to work together with you, and we will like to really reach out to the people who really deserve our help, and they are in the need for that. So very quickly.
Well, I just wanted to say to Diana that we are very, very fortunate to have some people like yourself and your staff working with us, because these are very, very critical issues, and these are very delicate issues, and especially when it comes to legal aspects of these, it makes it a lot more difficult. And we feel very confident that from ASHA, we will forge some unprecedented collaboration with legal rights movements and things like that, where this work is going to be a lot easier. And I hope that we achieve that.
Thank you very much for that. Can I
just acknowledge, sorry, very quickly, John and TWT people to come and appreciate your thing.
I forgot to mention that we'd love you to evaluate today's event because it helps us plan. We have Hindi and English evaluations in the room on the table near Poonam. And we also have Hindi and English evaluations. If you go to, for those who are streaming, seniorsrightsservice.org.au/English survey or Hindi survey. Thank you.
Can I acknowledge Harmon Waliaji, who's been always supporting us, and he's one of the very good photographer, and he represents Desi Media. Thank you, Harmonji. And to Asha team, and all the actors, and all the beautiful ladies who will be entertaining us even after 1 o'clock. Thank you. And Kedar. A big thank you to Kedar. And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that concludes the main event. We now have a bit of an entertainment for 10 minutes. So without any further delay, I'd like to call upon Shobha Englishwar to sing a song, and Swati will dance to the song of Shobha Englishwar. Shobha Englishwar is the president of Gopio and an OM multicultural get-togethers and a professional singer. Since last 15 years, she'll be singing, she's been singing since last 15 years. She'll be singing Long Ilachi, which is a very popular song. So where is Swati? Swati? Yeah, okay. So I think let's start and do it. Next one.
Number 2.
Number 2. Is it a karaoke track, is it?
Number 2. Number 2.
Number 2 track.
Long Ilachi.
Ken.
अभी तू लौंग है मैं लाची, तेरे पीछे आ गवाची। Swati. It was awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Shobha and Swati. Okay, the next we have another very good Bollywood medley, which is going to be performed by Vipra Sharma. And she's going to sing a Bollywood medley of Madhuban Mein Radha Kaise Jale and Ghumar. Can you please make welcome Vipra Sharma?
मधुबन में जो कन्हैया किसी को भी से मिले, कभी मुस्काए कभी छेड़े कभी बात करे, राधा कैसे न जले, राधा कैसे न जले, आग तन मन में लगे, राधा कैसे न जले, राधा कैसे न जले।
मधुबन में भले कान्हा किसी को पी से मिले, मन में तो राधा के ही प्रेम के हैं फूल खिले, किस लिए राधा जले, किस लिए राधा जले, बिना सोचे समझे, किस लिए राधा जले, किस लिए राधा जले।
You are a big, big applause. Thank you. Thank you, Vipra. We now have another dance number from Swati. You're a big hand. Swati is a dance teacher as well. And yeah, very well done, Swati. Thank you. Now, please enjoy the lunch, and I hope you all follow the COVID guidelines. Okay. Where is the... No, we don't have it. We don't, because we have to give there and all that. We don't have a plug-in here. So we need to just... it has to be pre-planned, na, Vijinder? So I'd say all of you have a great lunch and follow the COVID guidelines. And thank you for being, for everyone coming here and making this a very big success. Thank you.